thought I'd film today's video from a from a Tesco car park because I can't risk Bosco overhearing me record. This video is it's not sweary or anything. It's safe for work. It's not suitable for watching in front of small children because conversations happened in my household today that I didn't realise 9-year-olds would want to have. Nothing major, just sad in my mind because it means that it's the end of an era for wee old Lambpup. So, final warning, if you've got any young ears nearby and you're not 100% certain, read the comments, read the description below, and then continue if you want, or come back in a few years or watch it on your own without your kids around. But yeah. End of warning. You've been warned. Don't blame me if this causes problems. But I mentioned the other day that Mr. Bosco lost a tooth, his first tooth. He's very excited on holiday. Well, on our way back from the holiday, his tooth fell out. And just to add a bit of a cartoon life story, he was holding it in his hand. I told him he didn't want to lose it. Go get me a napkin and I'll wrap it in the napkin and I'll put the napkin in my wallet and I'll look after the tooth. And then when we got home and I opened the napkin, there was no tooth inside it. And we had a right old panic. Well, I had a right old panic. I honestly thought I'd lost it. I was so gutted. And then I found it on the floor and all was well. I think I might have mentioned that. But anyway, it ties into the story. So I said to him, look after it, put it in the pillow. The tooth fairy will come and get it. I'll get on to her. I'll tell her now. I'll ring the tooth fairy and I'll let her know that, it's time to come and get your tooth and that she should bring you some money. He did it, but then he came and asked me if I was the tooth fairy. And I was like, no, do I look like a tooth fairy? Like, don't be silly. Is mummy the tooth fairy? No. Don't be silly. Does she look like a tooth fairy? I think I'd know if she was a tooth fairy. I'd talk to the tooth fairy pretty regularly. And if it was just mummy pretending, then, I'd feel pretty stupid. So he was okay with that. And I just thought, okay, this kid's cleverer than I thought. And then today, I got a text from Mrs. Sheepdog saying that he came to her and he asked the same question, are you the tooth fairy? And she said, no, I am not. And he said, well, Lambpup said, and I was just like, Lambpup. So I texted Mrs. Sheepdog and said, look, I'm going to have a chat with Lambpup when I get home and we're going to talk about this because I didn't know she was old enough to think that. I didn't know that was going to be a thing. But it's not the first time that something like this has happened where it's caught us off guard and it's a bit early for Bosco. So I wasn't going to tell her off because it's an innocent thing. It's not the end of the world. It's one of those we are telling a lie to our children that all people do. So I got home and I rang Mrs. Sheepdog and said, can you send Lambpup out, please? I want to have a chat with her in private. She comes out a bit like, what? And I said, come on, sit in the seat next to me. And she gets in and she's like, hello. And I'm like, yeah, it's all right. You're not in trouble or anything. I'm not having a go at you. I'm just having a quick chat with you. Don't worry. And I said to her that Bosco says that you told him there wasn't a tooth fairy. He's like, I didn't. I said, well, that's what he said. And he said, I didn't. He said, my friend said to me and him that the tooth fairy didn't exist and it was just our parents. And I was like, who? And she was like, one of the girls in my class. And I was like, oh, for God's sake. And I said, and what do you think? And she was like, I don't know. And I said, well, do you think the tooth fairy's real? She said, no, she's not. And I was like, okay. I said, what does Oliver think? And she said, well, he asked me and I just sort of didn't know what to say. And then he's asked you. And I was like, oh, for God's sake. So I said to her, well, look, you're right, but you can't tell your brother that. And I explained to her why. And we had a really good chat where I said to her, look, he thinks everything's real. He thinks everything is what it is. But, that's part and parcel of being as young as he is. You can't go and say, Bosco, this is that, and ruin stuff for him. I said to her, when we were in Disney, I was a little bit sad because she basically turned and said to me, God, they must get so hot in those costumes, Daddy. And I was like, Lambpup, that's not a costume. That's really Timon from The Lion King. That's really Mickey Mouse. And she was like, I'm okay. And I was like, well, okay, but you can't say that in front of Bosco. And she was like, oh, yeah, I suppose. And then all the holiday, he's been saying to me, is that really Finding Nemo? Is that really Dory? Is that really Dory's dad? Like, we're going around an aquarium and there's like the cartoon versions of the fish and the turtle. We're going along and they're being swept along a current. He's going, is this real? And I'm like, yes, 100% real. Definitely. It's real. It's real. Stay innocent. And he I think he's clever enough that he does question it, but Lambpup believed everything until maybe a year ago by the looks of it. And I asked her if there's anything else she doesn't believe in or isn't sure of, and this, that, and the other, and she couldn't think of anything else that she wanted to ask about. And it was quite funny then, because basically part of the point of this video isn't just that, oh my god, she's older than I thought. I'm useless with both their ages, really, because when we were away, and I think I mentioned this in passing, but I thought, oh, Lambpup will love Splash Mountain, therefore Bosco will love Splash Mountain. And he hated it. He thought it was the worst thing ever, whereas she absolutely loved it. So then I thought, she loves Splash Mountain. She'll love all the big slides and stuff at the water parks. And then she was petrified at the thought of going anywhere near any of them. And Bosco didn't even bother. He just stayed in the wave pool in the shallow end of it. And I thought, okay, I'm really not good at judging how much they'll want to do stuff. And then it was interesting because Lambert wanted to go on all the roller coasters, but not all that. So I've got that. But now on the other side of the holiday, I've got a feel for what they will and won't go on. And it seems that when I got back, I thought they were both at that point. And then obviously Bosco's tooth falling out made me realise, oh my god, he's that old that his teeth are falling out. But he's also that old that he'll believe it and she won't now. She's that old. But then she drops the bomb of, everyone in my class has a mobile phone, I want a mobile phone. And I was like, oh my god, this is ridiculous. Like, I'm sure I've spoken about this on videos before, and if I haven't, I've talked about it somewhere, because I was getting feedback from people on Twitter about this last year. I don't know how old a kid's supposed to be before they really get phones. Like, I'm sure Kev said that his kids were like 9, 10-ish. Other people have said that their kids were similar. Other people have said to me 15, 21, 30. I was explaining to Lambpup that I didn't get one until I was 15. And even then, my 13-year-old sister got one before me, which was outrageous. I was explaining, being clever, I said to Lambpup, she asked about the phones, and I said, well, I do want to get you one eventually, but I don't know how to do it. And I said, when I was 15, and I started off on a story, and I said, I asked Father Christmas for one. I asked him for a phone, and I asked him for a console. And on Christmas Day, he got me the console. And I was like, fair enough. But then my sister opened her presents, and Santa had got her a phone. And she was like, why would Santa get Auntie a phone? And she didn't even ask for a phone. You asked for a phone. And I was like, yeah, I know. And it kind of grated me because I really wanted the phone. I said I was happy with what I got, but I'd asked for a phone. That was number one on the list. And I said to her, apparently, your nanny and granddad had a chat with Santa and said, well, Mr. Sheepdog, our son, wants a console. He wants a phone. He'd probably get more life out of the console. Then maybe they just assumed I weren't going to be texting any girls. It's not going to be any loss to me. I play games. I'll be talking to the same nerds on those games as I would be on the phone. So I might as well just get the console. And I'm grateful for it. I enjoyed the console, but subtly, and if you didn't pick up on it, I'll spell it out. I tested the water on the old. Mr. Santa, by just saying, he didn't get me what I wanted. I said to her, what actually happened then was I pulled all my Christmas money together and I bought a phone in sort of the January, February sales, and had like the best phone in my school, and it was awesome. Like in my year group, there's very few people had one of the early Nokia phones. I had one. It was awesome. And it was a good conversational piece, and it felt very good having it. And I said to her, we probably wouldn't get you, Santa's not going to give you an awesome phone to start off with, but maybe we'll get you a better one in the future. So we're talking about that now, and we are saying maybe at a birthday probably, or after a birthday, but she did say, ask Santa for it, it'll be free then. And I was like, she's very savvy. She's old enough to suggest that rather than paying for the presents, I ask Father Christmas to bring them. So I was very relieved that she still has that notion in her head that that is the most cost-effective way of procuring gifts. Because I love that about her. That's not the first time she's said it. I remember when she wanted a bike, she said, I don't know whether to ask you for the bike or Santa, because if I ask Santa, it's free and you can get me more other things. Whereas if I ask Santa for it, if I ask Santa for other things, he might only get me some of them, and you'll have spent all your money on a bike, so you won't be able to. And she was genuinely counting it out in her head, trying to figure out the best route to get. And I was just laughing to myself, thinking, if only you knew, you funny little kid. But I find that really, like, part of it probably sounds very first world problems, mean, spoilt in a way. But I think it's really lovely that she was genuinely looking at the best way to help me work it out and get what she wanted. That's clever. But she still believes at the moment in that. I'm worried that she'll get to like Christmas time and some little butthead will spell it out, because that'll suck. I've always told her lots of cool stories about Christmas. I know I've spoken about them before, but I'm less worried about her ruining it for Bosco now. I've just said to her, you have to help me now. You have to work with me. If you figure something out, you realise something isn't real, whatever, don't say it in front of him. Don't tell him. Don't wreck it for him. He's got 4 years on you. And basically, there's a big gap there that I never realised existed until now. Now I'm getting it. Now I realise that Bosco and Lambpup 4 years apart, that's a massive gap. When I was a kid, my sister's only 2 years younger, the gap's not that huge. If I was doing something, she wanted to do it. If I hadn't done something and she was doing it, I went back and did it because I was old enough. It was kind of symbiotic. She was always slightly ahead, or I was behind, or we'd just do stuff at the same time or whatever. It wasn't a stretch. It wasn't impossible for her, whereas Bosco can't bridge that gap all the time. And her moving into a new space while he's just entering it isn't good for him if she's going to wreck it. So she gets that now. But it was such a nice sort of father-daughter chat. I'm glad I didn't film it, because it was like a lovely moment with my child. I sat in the car of all things. But part of me wishes I had, even for personal, if I'd have just put a spy cam in and filmed it, because it was nice. We had a good chat. It got to the point where I was like, we've been sat in this car for ages. We should really go indoors. Your mum's cooking dinner. So we went in. But no, it was lovely. I'm just a little bit sad that my girl's growing up. I was explaining to her that when we go on holiday, it's going to start getting worse and worse now. She's going to start loving it. She's going to be loving it. Then she's going to start getting bored. Then she's going to start getting offended that she's not with her friends. Then she's going to want to wish she was with her friends, or she's going to want to bring friends. Then she's not going to come. Then she's going to wish she could come. And then she's going to start coming on or inviting us on her holidays, because that's pretty much what's happened with me. But I said we've got a few more years before she gets to that point, so let's make the most of it. And I think she was very happy that it's not all doom and gloom. She's definitely got plenty of stuff to grow into. But no, I enjoyed thinking about all this, talking about this, because I like doing the parenting ones when they've taught me something, and I feel just really like, she's older now, and he's older now. He's getting tall and all. And it's the baby next. I was explaining to her the baby's 9 years younger than her. So she needs to really help with him and make everything magical. And it's fun. It's cool. It's just, they're changing thick and fast at the moment. I feel like what they're going to be like in another week or another month or another 6 months or this time next year, it's ridiculous. Just to end up on one final point, they beat me at computer games yesterday again, and that's even worse, because sometimes a fluke is fine, but they're actually beating me at it on skill now, and that's worrying. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments, especially on the phone age thing or recommendations and that kind of thing. Yeah, let me know your thoughts. Subscribe, like, comment, all that stuff. Where the box is in the corner. I'm pointing at the wrong bit. I'll go back to normally sitting in my chair and stuff this time. I'm hoping no kids passed the car while I was talking about all the stuff I shouldn't have talked about. Really sorry if you didn't listen to my warning and then I spoilt stuff for your kids, but I am sorry, but equally, it's your own fault. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.